Today I'm going to teach you how to triangulate all of your genetic matches through ThruLines. This is going to open up so many avenues of research, and you're going to unlock potential avenues of how to find and build your family tree on Ancestry. Okay, welcome to the Family History Foundation. My name is Franklin, and head on over to familyhistoryfoundation.com. We got all sorts of articles, freebies, and we have tons of videos right here on Family History Foundation channel. So welcome, love you guys. Thanks for locking in. Here we go. So again, I'm gonna take you on a walkthrough through Ancestry and show you how to use this triangulation method, which has really been a powerful tool for me. And so what we want to do is, of course, we're on our landing page here on Ancestry, showing you my little page here. And so just kind of navigation tips, right? We have our homepage, trees, search features, which we've taken you through in a previous video. And we'll continue to build on that theme because there's so many powerful things hidden within these search features here. Of course, the card catalog, which is kind of my secret weapon that I want to share with you guys. Also going through your DNA, your genetic matches here. And so it's kind of neat. If you go through here, what we're going to do is we're going to see your results summary, origins, matches, and of course, this wonderful thing called ThruLines. ThruLines is where we actually want to end up because this is going to tell us how we're related to other people within the Ancestry database, right? So there are millions and millions of users. We get to connect to them through our DNA test. What a powerful treat. So we have traits, we have compare, matches. We spent last time going through matches, how to unlock the power of the search feature within matches. Oh my gosh, you guys need to watch that because there are so many cool, creative ways of exploring. But what we're going to do is we are going to jump over to ThruLines here. So here we go. We're on the ThruLines page, and now we have all of our matches. Okay, we have traits, which we can explore in a later video, which of course takes you through, like, you know, whether you have a propensity for exercise, whether you sleep in late, whether you howl at the moon on December 6th. I don't know. There's all kinds of quirky, weird things in there. Some true, some not true. I tell people, don't take it with a grain of salt. Sorry. You know, it's a lot of stuff are health indicators, but really it's not. Don't treat it as a physician telling you about your own body, because really, if we go through this, there's so many things in here that are inaccurate about my own personal traits, and a lot of things that are accurate. So I think it's kind of there for a laugh, to be honest. But origins and your genetic summary you can go explore, which is always fun to do. You know, my tip is, like, if I'm ever bored or hit a research wall or just feeling a little like, okay, I don't know what to do, what direction to take, I just go through my genetics, my DNA summary and origins, and it just kind of inspires me, and I can collect some inspiration there and just say, okay, now I want to pursue this line, and it you know, always works out nicely. But through ThruLines, okay, you can see how you may be related through your ancestors you share, right? And ThruLines, you get ThruLines when ancestors from your tree are also in a matches tree. So you can pick an ancestor to see which matches descend from them. And you can click on this to learn more, and you can filter. So there's all sorts of cool things to play with on here. But basically, it just takes you back. So this is parents, grandparents, which I've blurred out here, great-grandparents going back, second great-grandparents, right, third, fourth, going all the way back. And I'm going to use my Brickwall ancestor, who's a second great-grandfather, to show you what you can do in the power of ThruLines. Okay, so he's in my list of second great-grandparents here, right? And there he is. I already touched on him. We have 7 DNA matches to this guy, and 21 to 435 centimorgans ranging, and I can evaluate these relationship paths. So let's look at what we can decipher through ThruLines just for this match, this ancestor. Okay, so if I click on him, this is what I get. Okay, now I have my line. Okay, that's me going back to parents, my grandfather, and going back, and I have matches that can be shown in relationship to how I descend. Now here, look, this is neat because of the siblings of my second great-grandfather, I also have matches, right? I have cousins, basically, right? Some who I know, some who I don't know, right? But then these are first cousins 2 times removed, and second cousins, right? First cousins, second cousins, yeah, and these are third cousins, okay? So what we have here is a tree, is triangulation, right? The person that I'm searching for is at the top here, and I'm down here. And so can I use information from these, right? Assuming I've exhausted all the avenues of research within my own line, which I have. Okay, so we're back here on the main ThruLines page. And again, we're going to look through our ancestors going farther back. And, just quickly, you can use this filter option too, because you can go by all, which is 140 for me. You can filter by potentials, only the potentials in your tree, ancestors linked in your tree that you have put there yourself, maternal or paternal. So it's kind of powerful if you want to filter through and just say, well, forget about the potential ancestors. Just look at the ones that I've added in there. Okay, so again, play with that, see what works for you. Yeah, and use different combinations of things to see what pops up, which is always kind of a good idea, right? So again, we want to go farther back, and let's go as far back as we can. Okay, so now we're going past. Let's just sort of triangulate, as it were, second great grandparents. Here's a guy, right? So we're going to go past the second great grandparents list here, and let's go third great grandparents, right? Fourth great grandparents, fifth great grandparents, and see how far back we can go. Okay, so I only have that far back in the tree. I have farther back in other trees, obviously, but let's look for names that are similar or usable here, or relatable, as it were, and try to triangulate. So I know some of these names in here are related into or married into this line, others are not. But look what we have here. We have an ancestor right here with the surname I am looking for, fifth great grandfather. Okay, but I have 10 DNA matches in here between 8 and 435, and I can evaluate this relationship path. So if I click on that, it's going to take me over to this ThruLines page for this person. And of course, it's going to just build me out a tree and tell me exactly how I am related from me up to mom, great grandmother, going back. Now the power in this is what happens here. Okay, so I have 9 DNA matches. Okay, and so let's click on that and open up this tree. Okay, that's pretty cool, right? So now we have more information about who's related and in what capacity. Okay, so again, if we click on this is me. Now see what I was talking about earlier is like the person I'm looking for is now down in the tree as information and ThruLines and genetics flows down from top to bottom, right? So now we've kind of put this person we're looking for in the place of the triangle, and now we can use everybody in prior generations to triangulate information, right? Because this is where the information that is usable or that we want. So we can open up these lines, and we can also sort of see what we can glean from these matches. So the technique here is really going to be to try and see what exists in the line, right, in my second great grandfather's parents and grandparents generation, right? What can we tell from the prior generation? What census records can we glean? What land records can we glean, right? Because now if we can find some census or some deed or a will with, my brick wall ancestors' parent on it and siblings, that might help to clue me in exactly where that line came from. And we can use this, and of course we can go downstream to verify what exists at this level, at this generation. So this is super powerful. And again, the power in this is actually that we're dealing in known quantities, right? Because again, if you're looking at a census or a will, you may or may not know or be able to identify the factuality of it without corroborating it with other evidence in sort of a hardline manner. But with genetics, this is absolutely working from known quantities, because I know that I'm related to these matches, right? So it's like I can start to work through these collateral lines at this generation and back and see what I can uncover the story of this family journey, right? Where did they come from? How did they move? Where did siblings move and settle and disassociate from one another possibly, or stay together, right? And so this is the power of through lines, because you're starting from something that you know. Ancestry is telling you a known quantity, right? And so it's if you're not using this, you're really leaving a powerful research tool basically untapped, okay? And so it's like a roadmap that's already ahead of you. Use it, read the signs, and it'll take you where you want to go, okay? So again, and some of the little clues of researching ancestral trees are sometimes just names, right? Names often repeat as they go down through time, right? You may names like Moses that are not common. How do they repeat, right? And so they might repeat and give you a clue as to what line you come through, right? This is an unusual name right here, okay? So this tells me that it's probably a maiden name passed down through paternal or maternal line, right? So again, if I'm coming across records or looking at census data or wills or any other bit of information and I see this in a surname, right? Maybe somebody married into this family, right? That's a clue. That could substantiate, hey, this is another sort of way of triangulating information within your triangulation of through lines, and then may just pop out and say, hey, this is this may be something, because I know that I am related to this person. Therefore, if this holds true, then I can use this as research. But okay, so this is one sort of breadth of it. Now let's click on this and we can actually get more matches when we're looking here. So now look at all this. We got all this stuff opening up here, because now through this line, not only did I just get one tree going down, I got more, right? From this person, I got 3 more lines coming down of 5th cousins, 3rd cousins, and 4th cousins. So check that out. I mean, this is just a lot. And maybe you want to focus on this ancestor because, wow, look how much is in there. So this could really be a clue. And again, be very, very careful, because these are names that are not factually proven. They're Ancestry is asking you to evaluate these, right? And I'm asking you to evaluate you. Do your due diligence in genealogy and family history, okay? So this is the power. Go and hunt all these things down. I mean, it's an amazing, amazing tool that you can use in your research. And I think the power really lies in how you sort of set this information up for the success of your research. Now, I always again say, don't just add people in your tree, right? Never just add people in. But there are certain circumstances, and the caveat comes with that, which is if you're using through lines, and maybe like I can't prove beyond my second great grandfather who my ancestors are, well, I'm also leaving information off the table. So think about this, because if I don't just add, and I added this person in because through my research, although unproven, the degree of probability of this actually being my 4th grandfather is probably about 90% right now. But I haven't proven it, I haven't documented it, so it remains unproven. However, if I left this person out of my through lines tree, right, I wouldn't get these hits, right? And I wouldn't be able to try and at least decipher if this is factual or not. So therefore, some of the rare circumstances where you actually can add in people in your tree that are undocumented would be like this. Okay, so it's like, I'm going to put this person in here kind of on a fishing expedition, if you will, right? It's like, let's see what genetic matches I can get. But here's how you do it, though. There's a responsible way to do this, which is when you add that person in, always make a note, right? So if I click on this person's profile under their life story or under their facts, right, as soon as their record appears, it says undocumented, right? Unproven actually is better. Unproven, and here's why. And so you have that note there, and you know that this is an unproven match. Or Ancestry now, when you click on the profiles of people, lets you add a note or a star that says unproven right now, or brickwall ancestor, I should say. So really, this is a powerful way, and I hope you see that. Drop a comment below and tell me that this is working for you, because this is such a powerful tool that you can use in your own research to sort of work through the lines of all of your potential family and ancestors. There's just a lot to go on here. So really, I want to thank you for being a part of this, and thank you for watching this and supporting Family History Foundation. We have tons of videos down there. Like and subscribe while you are here. Use the link, head on over to familyhistoryfoundation.com. I have more articles on ThruLines, a video on here as well. More and more stuff on Family History Fridays. Every Friday I release videos and articles. So head on over, and I appreciate y'all's support. So take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Love you, and we'll see you in the next one.